What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Whack4863, but you can call me Whack. In today's video, I wanted to show you what I'm doing with my character for the first season here. So this is my build currently, and what I've done with this build is tried to make as much automated as I possibly can, because there's a lot of really cool things going on with the Malignant Hearts that allow you to do a lot of automation with your build. So let's jump right into it. Starting off with the gear, I have Deathless Visage. Now this is not a requirement for this build. What you want on a helmet is just to make sure you have max essence in one of those affixes. That's the most important thing for this build, is that you have max essence anywhere that you can get it. For the chest piece, this is part of the build that is a requirement if you want the full automation, the Blood Artisan's Cuirass. And the thing that's important here is that you look for the least amount of blood orbs for a free bone spirit. I've looted 3 of these so far. One of them was an upgrade to the item power level, but the amount of blood orbs required in order to cast a free bone spirit was 9 instead of 5, so I kept this one in place of that upgrade because I want to cast that bone spirit more often than not. Moving on to the gloves here, the important things to look for is ranks to bone spear, restoring primary resource, and then the other 2 stats don't matter that much. I really like having critical strike chance on there, and then maybe another rank 2 critical strikes, maybe critical strikes with bone skills, but I have attack speed on this pair of gloves, so these worked out okay. With this one, you are going to do the splintering aspect. For the pants, it really doesn't matter what you get on your pants for this build. The most important thing is that you get the aspect where when you consume a corpse, it has a chance to spawn a blood orb. If you don't have, say, Deathless Visage, you could put that aspect on the helmet instead, and then put another aspect, like maybe the aspect of Disobedience, for more armor. For the boots, what I look for in boots is really the movement speed first and foremost, and then I go for essence cost reduction. The fact that it has corpse tendrils on these boots as well makes them very, very nice. So those 3 things on a pair of boots is really good. The last stat on there really doesn't matter. It's kind of up to you what you want to look for with that stat. And I found this aspect, which is a seasonal aspect, to be really good. When there are at least 5 close enemies, stun them for 2 to 4 seconds. This one stuns them for 3. This can happen every 20 seconds. It makes it so that you can actually jump into a pack, form a corpse, and already have everything stunned. By the time they come out of that stun, they're already corpse tendrilled, and you are launching a bone spear at them to clear the pack. For a weapon, we go with a 2-handed weapon. You guys probably already know what to look for on this weapon, but it would be intelligence and then damage to the different types of things that you're doing. So critical strike damage with bone skills is good. Vulnerable damage is good. I have damage to stunned enemies and damage to injured enemies, which works out just fine for me. And then on this, you want the ossified essence key, where you do more damage based on the amount of essence that you have. For the amulet, what you're looking for here is essence cost reduction and movement speed. The rest of the affixes don't matter as much, but you could look for something with ranks to one of your skills, like the Evulsion passive would be really good if you could find that on there. For this one, we are imprinting it with the Grasping Veins, so that's where I put that, and that is very important for the build. Onto our first ring here, what we're looking for is really the max essence and the critical strike chance. The other 2 affixes can be whatever works for your build, but those 2 things really make a difference. For the imprint here, we have critical strikes with bone skills increase your essence regeneration by 20%. I really would prefer to have the imprint where a blood orb gives me the essence when I'm full on health, but I don't currently have another one of those to imprint on this ring. So either one of those will work just fine with this build. On the last ring, what you're looking for is critical strike chance again, and then max essence again. The other two affixes don't really matter. For the imprint here, we have up to a 10% chance to generate 30 essence when hitting a vulnerable enemy with bone skills. So let's talk about the hearts that you want for this build. First of all, it's going to be the Cage Heart of the Sacrilegious with the lowest percentage possible because you are doing reduced damage with this. But it is going to automate all of your corpse skills. So your corpse tendrils and your corpse explosion is going to be automated with this heart. So you want that in your build since we're doing an automation build. For the second heart, we have the resource drain effects are reduced and your resource generation is increased. You want to look for the highest percentage numbers you can get with this item. That is going to allow you to keep your essence regenerated a lot better in the world. I find this to be a very good heart to keep my resource topped off and do the most amount of damage I can with the ossified essence key. For the last heart here, you have a couple of options. You can either do the Caged Heart of the Malignant Pact, which is going to cycle through different abilities when you get kills. So for every 20 kills, you get one of these different abilities. The other option would be to go for a straight Caged Heart of the Decrepit Aura, which is going to automatically cast Decrepify on all the enemies that are within your area. I've played around with both of them. I like both of them. I'm just not sure which one I like right now more than the other. So I'm currently playing with the Caged Heart of the Malignant, where it automatically switches between those different bonuses. But like I said, either one of those would be fine for this build. Let's jump into the skill tree real quick, and what we're doing is Reap at first because we want to generate that corpse, and we can do that every 4 seconds. So we're going to put 1 point in each one of these. That is just to run in, hit an enemy, generate a corpse, and start the automation process. We're then going into a Bone Spear, as many points as you can get in there. We're going to cap it out. We're going to do the Enhanced Bone Spear and the Supernatural Bone Spear. We're going to put 3 points into Unliving Energy, and then right now just 1 point into Imperfectly Balanced because you can't put additional points in there. Hewed Flesh, we're going all the way to 3. That way we're generating as many corpses as possible for the continued automation of the automatic corpse pop. Moving down, we have Blood Mist. That's our get out of jail free card. We're just putting 1 point into that and then moving on. Then we have a Corpse Explosion with 1 point there, and we're putting a point in Enhanced Corpse Explosion and a point in Plagued Corpse Explosion. You could go with the Blighted Corpse Explosion if you want, but I feel like the Plagued Corpse Explosion does more damage, so I use that one. Moving down to Grim Harvest, every time those corpses are being popped, we're generating 6 essence because we have 3 out of 3 points in Grim Harvest. Then we have Fueled by Death because we're automatically popping these corpses. We're getting additional damage because that's happening. We're going 3 out of 3 into Death's Embrace. And then we have 1 point in Iron Maiden, with 1 point in Enhanced Iron Maiden, and 1 point in Abhorrent Iron Maiden. I like this so that I can regenerate both my essence and my health by cursing groups of targets with Iron Maiden. We also have Amplified Damage, where you deal 12% times increased damage to enemies that are cursed. Now, this works really well if you're using Decrepify as well, because while you're running through targets, you're automatically casting Decrepify on them, and so you're doing increased damage to them. And this is where I haven't tested enough to see which one of those hearts is better in there, but I think you'll be happy with either way you go, whether it's the heart that switches through the different bonuses or whether it's the heart that auto casts Decrepify. Then we have Death's Reach, an additional 12% times damage to distant enemies. Moving down, we have 5 into Corpse Tendrils. If you can get ranks 2 Corpse Tendrils on your gear, that's really good. Even though you don't need it for the cooldown because you're auto popping, it still does damage, so it will increase the amount of damage that you're doing with the points in there. And then we have enhanced corpse tendrils, and we also have blighted corpse tendrils. Blighted corpse tendrils have a 35% chance to drop a blood orb, and since we're using those blood orbs to have an auto cast of the bone spirit, it's really nice getting those blood orbs. It just improves the amount of automation that you're getting. The 3 points into bone spirit come from the unique chest piece that we're wearing. We're not putting any additional points in there. You certainly can if you want to use that on your bar as well, or you have extra points to spend, or if you got boots with ranks 2 bone spirit, you could use that there as well. But I don't see any reason to put points in here. There's better places for your points to do damage with your actual skills. Then we're going 3 out of 3 into serration, 3 out of 3 into compound fracture, and 3 out of 3 into the evulsion passive. Moving down, we're putting 3 out of 3 into stand alone, and 3 out of 3 into memento mori. And the last point is going into ossified essence, because we are tossing bone spears and we have the bone spirit doing damage. And when it's cast, if you have full essence, it does maximum amounts of damage, and since you're casting it for free, it's doing very high damage. Now you will notice we don't use Bone Storm at all in this build. It's really not necessary right now. I feel like maybe later on in some higher level dungeons it might be necessary, but for the automation build where it's at right now, we are just wrecking shop. Now into the Paragon, I'm just going to run through this real quick. I actually have this uploaded so you can use the link in the description to see where I've spent my points. But the first glyph that we're putting in is going to be sacrificial. This could change to blood drinker later on, but I put sacrificial in here right now because I had it a higher level than my blood drinker. So either sacrificial or blood drinker here would be really good depending on what level your glyph is and what glyphs you've found so far. The first board that we're going to place is the bone graft board, and we do rotate it like this. And the glyph that we're going for here is essence. That's the one that I focused on leveling first because I feel like it does the most increased damage without all the other restraints of other ones like being healthy or being fortified. Moving on to the third board, this is Scent of Death, and in this one we're putting Imbiber, and once we get that leveled up, between that and either Sacrificial or Blood Drinker, we'll have a lot more damage coming out of this build just with the 3 boards. Now, just so you know, I do have full Renown, so I ended up with an extra 20 points at my level 78. I do recommend completing your Renown as you're completing other objectives to level up, because that is a great way for you to not only level but get those extra Paragon points. And that really is it for the build. You guys have been watching the gameplay of the build for some time now. You can see that as I'm going through the content, I am getting that free bone spirit. Sometimes it's totally wasted, but other times it does an absolute massive amount of damage to all the enemies in the area, just wrecking shop. And we are also popping the corpses for free. We're popping the corpse tendrils for free. And this build is just absolutely amazing for going through this content. And I want to know in the comment section below, what build are you currently running? And more importantly, what malignant hearts are you using in the season of the Malignant? I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. If you'd like to become a legend, there's a button that says join on this page. Click that for details. There's 2 videos on the screen. Click one of those to watch next, and I'll meet you over there.